Hey, it's Patrick from Possum Bourne Motorsport. This is our workshop update for March. Yoda. Come. Here's our workshop dog, Yoda. Over here we've got quite a unicorn that showed up end of last week, which is a Renault Alpine. I'm sure most of you haven't seen one of those in real life yet. This car has a freshly built engine, so one thing we're going to do is running it in. And it's also got an electronic fuel injection system that we are going to adjust, make it work properly. After that's all adjusted, we want to run it up on the dyno and tune this car and see what it can put out. We had Jason bring in his GC8. Nice car that just needs a little bit of attention. So we've started by taking the engine out. It won't get an engine rebuild, but it will get a freshen up, a whole lot of gaskets, servicing, maintenance and repairs. And once it's all done, then we will put it on the dyno, see what it can do, and get it back to him, make it a really nice, reliable car for him. We are getting very close now with Carl's engine. Engine is in, everything's good to go. We did all the fuel system upgrades, so it's got now top feed fuel rails and 1000cc injectors. It's also got a big Walbro 450 fuel pump in the tank. And we are just completing some different power steering lines to tidy them up a bit. They're a little bit ugly at the moment here. And then we're going to finish the fabrication of the intake and the intercooler piping as well as downpipe before we put it on the dyno. Chris Forrester is done, but there's still more to do. So engine wise it's completed and we have tuned it up. It's made really good power for, it's 251 kilowatt for an automatic, which we're quite happy with. It has failed a cert because of a few things that need attention, so we're just sorting that out at the moment, and then once it's certified, Chris will get his car back and can enjoy it. Over here we've got Les's WRX. So a year ago we've done the intercooler piping and a tune on it. This time he's here for a service. He's got an intermittent engine light, which we have diagnosed to be an O2 sensor, and there was a small rattle, which was nothing major, so we've got that all sorted. Yeah, nice looking car, New Zealand new, and yeah, all around fun package. Over here, we've got something very exciting. So that arrived this morning, torque plate that we had specially made for our EZ30 builds. So I think we're probably the only ones, at least in New Zealand, Australia, that have one of these. We use this when machining, boring and honing EZ30 blocks to make sure we have a 100% accurate result, which is critical if we are doing high power builds. Jordan's 4063 out of his Evo 4 is getting ready to be completed. We did a modification to the thrust bearings to the Evo 5 onwards setup to get rid of the crank walking issue. So the block is coming back shortly, and then this is off to dummy and final assembly. Yeah, Corey sent his GRV up to us. He already suspected bearing failure, and it turned out to be true. This case it was quite bad. He's also had quite a lot of wear on the thrust bearing, which is not so common, but it's very important that we've stripped it apart. The rest of the engine looks very good. We're just gonna have to change all the bearings, rebuild it, change the oil cooler as it's probably filled up with all the bearing material. You can see probably in here there's a whole lot of gold in the sump as well. It's a common thing for Subarus. It's a Japanese spec, like a EJ20 with a W20 block, but completely factory at the moment. And the rebuild's gonna stay fairly basic as well. Over here we've got another GRV engine, also 2 liter. This is Ian's one. He just purchased the engine and we're going to do a proper build series on this, following every step of the build. because it will be quite special, and we're doing a few unique things to this engine that we don't do to every other one. It's going to be interesting to follow, and yeah, lots of updates to come on this. Over here we've got Zing cylinder heads out of spooled STI. So they're coming together. We've just installed oversized valves on the intake and exhaust, and started to work out the spring pressure, tested the springs. We've got to make a few adjustments, get a few buckets for the right clearances in, and then we can finally assemble the heads. So it's got variable valve lift and timing on this engine. The variable lift is similar to the VTEC setup in the Hondas, and it's just using two different lobes on the camshaft and two different pickups on the bucket. This is an engine we're very excited about as well, out of a late model VAB STI. So this is the 2040 and onwards STI, and we're just completing the cylinder heads. We're waiting on pistons to arrive. We've gone for just 0.25 oversized pistons to ensure there's another rebuild in it, and once they arrive, then yeah, we'll fast track this, get it put back together and start putting it into the car, working on the supporting mods for the engine. Cylinder heads are stage 2 ported and polished by us. We've got Kelfoot 272 cams in it, and we've also got beehive valve springs with titanium retainers in it. Good package for a decent amount of power. The engine is out of a Evo 10 4B11, now aluminium block, not like the 4G63s anymore. So to make them really strong, they do require a bit more work, and we've installed Dardan sleeves in this example, as we are expecting to make around 450 kilowatt. This is the block of James. You've just seen his cylinder heads in the engine room. Blocks just come back from glow sticking, making this a really strong package. You still got the additional displacement of the 2.5 liter, and now you've got all the support that you need to make big power. This is David's Outback. That's his daily that he's using every day to drive. It's a diesel, so he's just removed the diesel particular filters. This is a common issue with them once they go up in mileage, especially if used a lot for short distance travel. They clog up, and then you don't have power. And once they've gone past a certain stage, you can't do a burn-off procedure anymore. Then it's only replacement, which is very, very pricey, or you remove them. But if you do remove them, the ECU has to be adjusted to suit. So we've done that, and we've retuned it and got about a 15% increase on this car. Nitesh brought his car in to do some upgrades, get about 300 kilowatt out of his Evo 8 that he's got here. And we did a TD06 bolt-on turbo setup. We've also done a bigger intercooler, upgraded the fuel system, injectors and fuel pump, hardwired the fuel pump as well. We heard a noise in the cylinder heads and decided to take the rocker cover off, and there we found that the retainers have been installed, it appears to be with pliers. So advised Nitesh of that, and gonna ahead and change them out, as well as upgraded the valve springs while we're at it. It's already got HKS cams in there, so now everything is good to go, apart from the engine making another noise, which we've got to investigate. So next step will be to take it out and strip it down, have a look. Monty's Evo 6, that's all done. We've just tuned it. We've installed a Link ECU in this. We've also done a couple repairs and upgrades, so bigger fuel pump, hardwired that, and then the manifold was a Chinese one which was leaking in a lot of places, so we ended up with a Sinko one on here now. Same with the wastegate, it started to leak very early, not even under a lot of boost yet, so we've put a proper tile wastegate onto this. Yeah, just a bit of maintenance as well, changed the oil and spark plugs, and yeah, just completed a tune. It made really good power. It's got a fairly standard setup, standard turbo exhaust, and still made 240 kilowatt. Had to trim it back down a little bit to 230 to keep it safe. But yeah, with a better exhaust, we can easily make 250 to 60 with this. Yeah, we're back here at Project Sikace. The exhaust section between the headers and the turbo is pretty much done. So had that all installed. We're just working on the wastegate setup on there now. Then that can be bolted in final assembly. Rashal's been following our updates. He's got a few ideas over the last few weeks, watching a few of the other cars that we had here. So he's pretty keen on doing anti-lag. Yeah, really enjoyed the cyclic idle as well. So gonna make that happen for him as well. We've got the turbo in place now. So as you can see back there, we're just working out a few things with throttle body position, which is quite a challenge with this. As you know, the seat will go over here, so need to keep that nice and low. Finishing the wastegate setup and the exhaust, and we've also started to strip the interior partially so we can install the drive shaft hoops that are required for certification. Got a number of Evos in the shop. The engine of Jordan's Evo you've seen in the engine room, that's getting very close to being completed. And then over here we've got Greg's Evo 4 that's just dropped in as well. That one will come out in the next couple of days, getting stripped, and then we'll assess it. There's a suspected bearing failure in this as well, so see what we can find. Over here we've got Tamsyn's GF8 Wagon, a nice example. And we've just done a couple upgrades, so it's got a version 7 STI top mount intercooler. We've done a VF28 turbo upgrade, and it's also got upgraded fuel rails and injectors. Done a boost control solenoid this time to control the boost better, and we've retuned it. The car is now making 225 kilowatt. Tamsyn's car was here previously for a link ECU and an exhaust. At that time it made around 175 kilowatt. Now we've gone to 225 on the new setup, which is a huge difference and very fun package to drive. Yeah, that's it for March. I hope you enjoyed the update. Behind us we've got our new neighbors, Possum Performance, which are Holden and V8 Chevy specialists. So we're going to challenge them soon, but watch the next video and we'll give you some more updates on that.